In a world when there's no time to clean the stove after every meal, lemon won't help. Vinegar and baking soda aren't enough. Not even your best barkeeper's friend can save you. Disaster looms. What is the answer?
The glass cooktop with its shiny, slick surface seems like it would be a clean-up wonderland. After all, it's glass. Spills and drips can easily be wiped away with a sponge and some water, right? Well, that may be true as long as you take the time to wipe up every spill thoroughly and clean the cooktop after every use. And if you're that disciplined, I applaud you. If you're like me, you get busy with other things and before you know it, it's time to cook again. And you'll clean up that top after the next meal prep. No, you will. You will. But what happens when you let it go a little too long and the sponge and some water just aren't cutting it? Your old friend the internet has some solutions, but will those solutions bring back your once shiny cooktop to its original glory? Let's give it a try. When I cook, I tend to be a slider. I like to slide the pan on the heat when I'm stirring and sautéing. Unfortunately, that tends to be a little rough on these glass cooktops. Of course, the first step to cleaning your cooktop is a good old soap and water washing. The mess has been a bit over-dramatized for effect here. I like to think I'm not quite this sloppy when I'm cooking. When things boil over or spill, you can get a ring of crud around the burner. It gets baked on from the heat, and if not removed before the next heating cycle, it practically turns to glass on the cooktop. If you do an online search for cleaning glass cooktops, a few things come up over and over, so I decided to try them out. The first one is probably the most suggested, and that is baking soda and vinegar. In fact, this concoction is suggested for all kinds of household cleaning chores. It promises no effort cleaning. So I whipped up a batch, let it set for 20 minutes, and cleaned it off. While scrubbing, the scouring sponge did get dirty, but it had pretty much no effect on the ring of crud. Baking soda and vinegar? Fail. The next most popular suggestion is lemon, baking soda, and the secret ingredient, a drop of Dawn. By all accounts, it seems it has to be Dawn. Any other brand of dish soap is the reason this method will fail. So I mixed up a batch, went another 20 minutes, and scrubbed. As before, ring of crud is untouched. Fail. The third most suggested solution in my findings is Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser. It seems like this should certainly work because it's magic. Not a chance. It seems like some sleeves need to be rolled up and some tools need to be applied. Enter the razor scraper. This simple device is just a holder for an ordinary razor blade. And now we're getting somewhere. The ring of crud is no match for this setup. Takes a little practice to get the feel for the correct angle, but once locked in, the baked on crud comes right off. Rest easy, it does not scratch the hard glass surface. With this win, I moved over to tackle the ring on the smaller burner. This stuff was a little bit tougher to get off. I think it was because the other burner had a combined 40 minutes of soak time while I was testing out those initial internet solutions. So I threw a little vinegar and baking soda on the crud and gave it 20 minutes. This seemed to help a little, and I had the ring cleaned up in no time. After the ring was gone, I noticed some damage to the actual glass in a few spots. I'm not sure if something dropped there at some point or if the heating cycles under the crud caused the surface of the glass to pit and fracture. There's nothing I can do about it. Everybody talks about Bartender's Friend and how it will clean anything. Well, let's get to the pan sliding damage on the two burners and put it to the test. If I'm being generous, it may have improved the surface slightly if I really squint or just close my eyes and wish. Okay, let's get serious. We need some more power tools in here. Using a medium compounding pad on my random orbit polisher, I applied some fine glass polish and took an initial pass. Definitely some improvement on the center, but those heavy residue areas were pretty much untouched. It was clear that elbow grease and a more aggressive approach would be needed. I had some 3000 grit wet dry sandpaper and went to work on those residue marks. I wanted to make sure to keep the surface flooded with water where I was sanding so the paper had an optimal atmosphere to do its thing. I went through maybe 4 squares of sandpaper and spent about 30 minutes on this. I'd say that made a dramatic step towards my goal. In order to remove the microfine scratches left by the 3000 grit sandpaper, I used cerium oxide in my random orbital polisher. When the cerium oxide is mixed with water, it forms a fine grit paste that can be used for polishing things like glass. A note about application: it's very easy to get the solution a little too wet, which can result in a lot of splatter on counters, the floor, and even on your clothes. So be mindful. I'm really liking the results I'm getting. Onto the small burner and the same process. First 3000 grit sandpaper, then cerium oxide. As an experiment, I progressed from 3000 to 5000, then 7000 grit sandpaper to see if there was any improvement. If there was, I couldn't really see it, so I didn't put it in the video. Usually a progression to higher grits is a standard operating procedure for polishing, but the cerium oxide with the random orbital polisher pretty much blows by the need for those steps in this instance. To even everything out, I loaded up a fine-cut compounding pad with cerium oxide and polished out the entire top to kind of bring everything together. If you find this video helpful or entertaining, please strike a like and consider subscribing. I very much appreciate it. I'll leave links to the tools and products I used to clean this cooktop in the description below. The improvement is subtle but noticeable. To bring things full circle, I used the fine glass polish on a fine cut pad and did a final polish pass. Although the final result isn't like new perfection, the results are very good. The cost of perfection is about $750 for a new glass top. For that price, I'll take this result all day. As I mentioned at the end of the video, the result isn't 100% like new, but it's certainly 100% better. I know not everyone has a random orbital polisher, but the heavy lifting was really completed with an inexpensive razor scraper and some sandpaper. The polisher just gives you that little bit extra. Maybe it's the excuse you need to get one for yourself. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, please strike a like. It's always so appreciated. If you took on the task of cleaning up your own glass cooktop, leave a comment. Let me know how you made out, what worked for you. As always, I thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Until next time, I'm Maine Jason. Get out there and give it a try.